This video was published by MBKP International. In this video, we're going to talk about the wiring of this cutter and making sure you don't have a short somewhere. A short could cause a lot of weird problems with cutters. It could cause boards, main boards to burn out, other things to burn out, or just your cutter to do weird things. We're just going to be checking this by hand and backtracking the wires. If you had an ohm meter, it would make it a lot easier, but you don't. I'm going to assume you do not have one, and we're just going to check them one at a time. Okay, first thing you want to do is turn off your paper cutter. You just want to unplug power from the paper cutter. Make sure this is completely unplugged. You want make sure no power is going to it whatsoever. Once that's done, go in here. First thing you start with is maybe these buttons. Now these, watch how they come out. See this white tab here? It's at this angle here. You're gonna have to put it in the exact same way. So watch how they come out. You can fish. It's like a channel that goes in. You can fish for it if you can't find it. But just remember approximately how they went in. Just squeeze that, push down, squeeze, and then slide off. And basically we're going to check these wires, make sure they're not loose, make sure they don't pull out, make sure there's no little bitty, just small little piece of frayed wire hanging off and touching something else. If there's anything frayed, you want to maybe nip it off, or you may have to rewire it or something, but maybe you can, if it's just one little wire or something, you usually can just nip them off or something. Make sure they're in there good, nice and tight. This is screws tight, both sides on this one. And just slip it back in, and they'll click back into place once you get them in the right place. If I try to put it in there, it's not going to go in. I have to go back to the same place, and I'll pull back to make sure it's snapped in. If you have any loose buttons, this would be the time to tighten it up back here. These things, just tighten it nice and tight by hand, about as tight as you can, by hand always, and then slip it in. You want to do the same with this button, this button. This one here is the tab is usually on the bottom, and you got to push it on the bottom. It comes out, and it's got a double one going to it, but it's the same thing. You just got to make sure everything's in nice and tight and good, and there's no frayed wires coming out. Same thing with this one. This one's got, you know, a double here and a double under there, but it's the same process. Just check them all, look them very closely. If you need glasses, this would be the time to put them on, reading glasses or whatnot, because you want to look at everything very close, wires and stuff. This one, and even this one doesn't come off quite as easy. It's better just to keep it on, but you might want to. You can check the top one's pretty easy, and then check the bottom one's as good as you can. You want to check all the wires in here, make sure none are coming out. Up from the top, make sure they're all in all the way and secure. You can kind of tug on them a little bit. You know, look for anything that's backing out, or even the wire backing out. These red parts, you know what I mean? Just make sure everything's in good. Same with these wires in here. And from there, we're just going to go on these board wires. This is pretty simple here. These I'm going to do some of these. I'm going to start taking them out. If you take these out, when you're taking them out, you may want to put masking. If they're not already color coded for you, you want to put masking tape and number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1, 2, 3, and maybe from this side over, and then maybe 1, 2, 3 from that down. Because you got to make sure you get them all back in the right order. So if they're not already color coded, make sure you number them. Taking a picture beforehand is also a good idea. But these first two ones, you know, obviously you're going to check all these wires again like you did these. Check for any frayed parts, anything coming out, anything loose. But then you're going to take them off, you know, and this wire is simple. It just goes to this thing here. The other wire is going to go back into a section of 3 wires. This goes to your clamp motor. And it's this wire, this other white wire, and the blue wire. So these 3 wires here go in a sleeve here. These 3 will all go together, and they'll go to the clamp, and they go 1, 2, 3. And if they weren't color coded, then you need to number them. They go the first, second, and third, red, white, blue. First, second, and third posts of this. Okay, and the first 2 are doubles, so the other wire will be the red wire. Again, yours may or may not be color coded. If it's not, you need to either color code them or number them with masking tape, and then put a number on them. This will be the red one, goes to the first one. It'd be a double one on that one with one of those. And this is the white one. It also comes from this box, these first 2. So those first ones there, it would go to the second one. The white one would go to the second one. So that takes care of the first 3. We know where all the wires go on those first 3. Next thing you're going to do is the green, or the green, yellow, purple, and orange. Either that or it's the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th wire down. All 4 of those come to this sleeve here as a group, and I'll show you where they go. Come around here. they come around here to the back of this and they go into this motor. So you want to pop this off and you want to check this thing. You want to make sure none of these are coming out. Pull on them, lightly pull on them one at a time. Make sure none of them are, you can get down there and take a close look. Make sure there's no wires or frayed wires coming out and touch anything else. Make sure everything's nice and clean. Same thing with the top up here. You know, these you can see a little wires there, but that's not a big deal as long as there's no frayed ones coming out. But make sure they're all individually in their spot, you know. And basically the order of these is something we'd have to talk about later. As you can see, what order they go in on the back here, as opposed to what they go in with there. That's something we'd probably have to talk about it with a phone possibly, or that's something where an ohm meter would come in very handy. So that's something we could talk about later. But that's that. Another thing you want to do while I'm back here is take this cover off. Sometimes these things are in different places, these screws, so watch for it. There's another thing that could have a short. And just look at these things here, just make sure there's no, these all look good, the wires are good. Sometimes these wires will just be, this will be like cut off, and these wires will be sticking out, and they'll be twisted together with just anything, like just like an electrical twist, you know what I mean, tied together. So you want to make sure they're still together good and nice and tight if they have those on there, those little twist things for electrical to twist two wires together. This one doesn't, so there's not much to check. As long as no wires are coming out there or there, you see anything issues at all. But if they got the twist things, check the twist things. You may want to undo it and retwist them to make sure they're really good together. There's no frayed wires hanging out anywhere. And there's a bottom one down here too you need to check too. Be very careful when you're doing that because you may have to get underneath in the cabinet. You don't want to bump this machine and knock it over while you're messing with it. So just be very careful if you do that. I'll put those screws back on later. But that's what you want to check for there. Once we check all these wires, again, the order of these wires, what order they go in on that board, that's something we may have to check later. I'm not going to mention it in this video, but an ohm meter would come in handy at something like that. Here's some ground wire here. Make sure it's tight. There's two wires out of the bottom. Make sure they're tight. Again, check all. Make sure there's nothing frayed. Two in the top. Make sure they're tight here. You just tug lightly on these. Just make sure they're not broken or loose. Here you got a little plug that comes in here. Make sure it's plugged in good. And there's no wires backing out of this little white plug. I'm going to unplug it for now. Like you could have one of these backing out. So you need to push it back in and snap it in. They all need to be fully in, and you can see the silver little pieces as long as they're fully in. If one of these wires were backing out, that silver thing would be backing out too. So make sure all those silver things are fully in there. And then you don't have to unplug yours, but you could. But you got to make sure you get it back on the right perfectly. Okay, check that. Make sure. Here's another wire to check. Same thing. Check them all. And one more up here. Make sure all the wires are in good, nothing's coming out, nothing's frayed. And that's pretty much it here in the back compartment here. You check all your wires, and then you check this here, these capacitors here, and then also that thing there. Come back here to the front, and we're going to go to this side here. Again, those four are the motor, and then we got these brown ones here. If I can find my screwdriver, what I did with it. Take those off and we'll follow them back and show you where they go. And you're going to have two on this, and one of them's going to go to this here, the brown one, and if yours is color coded again, and the other one's typically going to go to this button here, either the top or bottom of it. Okay, and those are the two brown ones. And I'll show this here where it's going to. I'll show you where it goes to back here. It just goes to your breaker back here. So it's one of the bottom ones that goes into the breaker. Okay. Now we're going to this end one where it's a double end one, and it's black if it's color coded. And one of these wires goes to the other end of this, either the bottom or top, it doesn't matter. In this case, it's going to the bottom of this button. Remember, the brown one went to the top of the button. Okay, and then you got the black one that's going, the other black one's going all the way back to the back here. And in this case, it connects to the on-off switch. In some cases, depending on how they wire this could go to your emergency stop switch back here. With the emergency stop switch on the side to the back of it. It could go there first instead. It just depends on how they wired it. Okay, and that's all this side here. Now you got, this is pretty simple. It just goes to this, this plug here goes to this coil here. And it usually has a fuse on it somewhere. Sometimes the fuse is at a different place, so it could be on this thing here, so don't pay attention to that. You got your white one here. It's a green when it goes to the other side of the coil. It's not necessarily green wire, I'm sorry, but if yours is color coded, it's got the white there. Yours may not be color coded. Again, you might want to number these. You got your blue, and in this case blue, and this wires, it goes up to the top up here, and it goes to the actual, it goes up here and it goes to your laser light, okay? Let me get a piece of paper for 1 second. This actually helped me a little bit here. The next one is the yellow one, and we can see this yellow one. You can back trace it to the left cut button. Okay, and that's the fourth one, the fourth wire over, not necessarily the fourth port. Sometimes there's some extra ports. You got the purple one, which is the next, which is the fifth one over, or the fourth one from this side, depending on which way you look at it. And it's going to be one of those wires that goes to these buttons, most likely. Yeah, it's going to go to this middle button here. You got the orange one right here. It's the third one over from the end. And you can back trace it to this middle button on this side, the reset button. Okay, it goes to it, and looks like it goes to the two back ones, because there's four on this. The top back one, the bottom back one it goes to. Okay, you got this brown one here, and it looks like it goes to the other cut button here, the right cut button. Okay, and on 16, yeah, it says here right cut button. And then you got this here. This is your data wire here, the last one. It just goes up here and plugs into the back of this digital screen here. Okay, that's your data wire. Now we're gonna go for the. You're gonna have a plug there that's empty. The next plug is this white one, and it's unplug it. This is actually the grid sensor. It goes up into here and goes to this infrared grid here, and that's what stops the blade from coming down or whatever. Somebody sticks a hand in there or whatnot. So that's your grid sensor. You got your blue one here. This here is your proofread sensor. It's going to work its way back here, and it's going to go all the way back to this here. That's this one right here. Okay, it goes back to your the proofread sensor all the way to the back of the machine. You get number 20 here. Blade motor sensor. This is here. Yellow's your blade motor sensor here. And let's see here. 20 blade motor sensor. I'm not sure on that one. Let's skip that one for now. Let's go to this purple one here. And paper clamp sensor. Oh, I know where the yellow one is. The yellow one, or the third one from the end, it's your blade motor sensor. It's this one right here. Okay, that's 3 wires and 3 wires. Yeah, so it's that's your blade motor sensor. And then that was the yellow one, or the third one from this end. And here's the purple one, the second one from this end here. And that is let's see, paper clamp sensor. And it goes to this here. It's a paper clamp sensor right there. So that's where that goes. And the last one is this orange one. There's actually one plug, but like 2 different things go to it. 2 wires here and 3 wires there. They actually go to separate places, I believe. And it goes to the stepper driver. Some of these wires here go to, let me take this out. Yeah, these 3 wires go to the stepper driver. Over here it's these 3 right here. And the other 2, it's the right blade up button, so it's going to go to this button here. It's the other 2 wires, the 2 wires on this end, I believe it's going to be, these 2 wires there, the first 2 there. And it's plugged in like that. It's these far end ones here. It's going to go to this button here, and it's this, and it's the 2 closest in, the inner ones, bottom and top. Okay, and that's basically all the wires to this machine. You just got to make sure they're in the right order. Typically people get these in right because sometimes they're different size plugs and they come out of these channels in the right order. The ones you really got to work with is these, and the only ones we're not going to be able to tell you which one goes to which is these 4 here. All I can tell you is all 4 of these goes to the motor in that one group, and we'd have to do a test with an ohm meter to determine which ones they are. But I can tell you the first 2 are red. The green and yellow are red there. It would be the 1, 2, 3, be the 4th and 5th, or green and yellow, and are red. And on this hook up here, you can see the red go in the, if you count this as number 1 from back here, goes into 1 and 3. Okay, and then you got the black going in the 2 and 4. And the black are the bottom 2, or 6 and 7, or orange and purple. Those are the 2 black, orange and purple, 6 and 7, and they go to the 2nd and 4th. Okay, on this thing down here. Now the only question is going to be, which way does these go? Does this red one go? These are going to be right. It's just a matter of which way. Did these get flipped around here, or did those get flipped around if they're in the wrong order? Yours could be different colors. Yours could be 2 blue wires and 2 green wires. They may not necessarily be 2 red and 2 black, but typically they are. But don't be confused if they're not. Okay, just make sure they're the 4 wires that go to this motor back there, and you can see the color they are here and the color they are back there to kind of confirm it. But that's basically it for now. Hopefully that's enough to help us get most of the wiring problems out of the way. This video was published by mbkpinternational.com.